A deeply disturbing case is currently unfolding in Wales. It centers on the tragic death of a young child. The accused in this case are the child's own grandparents, Michael and Kerry Ives. They stand charged with grave offenses. Specifically, they are accused of the murder of their 2-year-old grandson. The allegations are profoundly serious. A method of alleged harm has been described in court as casual brutality. This phrase underscores the nature of the accusations. The trial commenced at Mold Crown Court. Proceedings are ongoing as evidence is presented. Please like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. The young victim at the heart of this case has been identified as Ives Griffiths. His life was tragically short. Ethan was just 2 years old at the time of his death. He was a toddler with his life ahead of him. His death occurred in August of 2021. This date marks the end of his brief existence. Upon discovery, Ethan was found in a severely emaciated state. His condition was a cause for immediate alarm. He was described by those who saw him as severely underweight. Malnutrition appeared to be a significant factor. His physical appearance included a sunken chest. This detail further highlighted his poor nutritional state. Ethan was also found to be covered in bruises. These marks suggested physical trauma. Most critically, he was suffering from catastrophic head injuries. These injuries were ultimately fatal. The head injuries were also described as serious. Their severity indicated significant force had been applied. Paramedics who first attended to Ethan noted bleeding. This was another indicator of severe injury. Hospital staff later observed his emaciated appearance. His condition was apparent to medical professionals. One paramedic provided a stark comparison regarding Ethan's appearance. They likened him to a frail, elderly person. Specifically, the comparison was made to a 90-year-old man. This illustrates the extent of his physical decline. The prosecution alleges that the Ives treated Ethan with callous disregard. Their care is described as severely lacking. They are accused of treating him with casual brutality. This suggests a pattern of indifferent cruelty. It is further alleged they encouraged other children to mistreat him. This mistreatment was allegedly framed as play. Medical experts are expected to testify about Ethan's suffering. They anticipate confirming significant distress, pain, and misery. This profound suffering allegedly occurred in the weeks leading up to his death. It was not a sudden onset of illness. The injuries sustained by Ethan are described as consistent with shaken baby syndrome. This points to violent handling. His head injuries are also suggestive of abusive head trauma. This is a medical term for injuries caused by force. Ethan's mother has made significant claims. She stated she witnessed her parents shaking Ethan in anger. She claims this occurred on multiple occasions. This testimony is central to the prosecution's case. The prosecution suggests there was a coordinated effort to conceal the truth. This involves the accused grandparents. They allege the grandparents initially claimed Ethan collapsed suddenly. This was presented as the cause of his condition. The prosecution argues that Michael and Kerry Ives formed a pact of silence. This was allegedly to hide their actions. Kerry Ives is specifically accused of delaying calling emergency services. The delay was nearly 20 minutes after the alleged collapse. This delay is presented as evidence of their alleged attempt to control the narrative. It raises questions about their motives. The prosecution states unequivocally that Ethan was assaulted. They contend his injuries were not accidental. They argue the evidence points to deliberate harm. This forms the basis of the murder charge. The pattern of injuries and the child's condition support their claims. Medical findings are crucial to this argument. The alleged casual brutality suggests a lack of care over time. It implies a sustained period of mistreatment. The encouragement of other children to harm Ethan is presented as particularly disturbing. It highlights the alleged environment. A mother's testimony about witnessing shaking incidents provides a direct link. It connects the accused to potential abusive acts. The emaciated state indicates severe neglect. It suggests a failure to provide basic nourishment and care. The combination of neglect and acute trauma forms the core of the prosecution's case. They argue these factors led to Ethan's death. The alleged delay in seeking help is portrayed as an attempt to cover up the abuse. It suggests a priority placed on self-preservation over the child's life. The prosecution is presenting evidence to support each of these claims. Witness testimony and medical reports are key components. They aim to demonstrate that the grandparents were directly responsible for Ethan's suffering and death. Their narrative is one of deliberate cruelty and neglect. The trial process involved presenting this evidence to the court. The defense will then have the opportunity to challenge it. The burden of proof lies with the prosecution. They must convince the jury beyond a reasonable doubt. Their case rests on establishing a pattern of abuse and neglect. They must also prove the fatal injuries were inflicted by the accused. The concept of casual brutality is central to their description of the alleged treatment. It implies a normalized pattern of harshness. The alleged pact of silence suggests a conscious effort to evade responsibility. It points to a potential conspiracy to obstruct justice. The prosecution's goal is to secure convictions for murder and allowing a child to suffer. They seek accountability for Ethan's death. The evidence regarding Ethan's physical state upon discovery is critical. His condition speaks volumes about the care he received. The medical findings regarding the head injuries are equally important. They provide insight into the immediate cause of death. The prosecution is building a case based on both the chronic neglect and the acute trauma. They argue these were interconnected. They contend that Ethan was vulnerable and dependent on his grandparents for care. This dependency was allegedly exploited. The trial will examine the timeline of events leading up to Ethan's death. It will scrutinize the actions of the accused. The prosecution's narrative paints a picture of a child suffering immensely. This suffering allegedly occurred under the care of his grandparents. The case highlights the devastating consequences of alleged abuse and neglect within a family setting. It is a stark reminder of the vulnerability of young children. The prosecution is determined to present a comprehensive case. They aim to leave no doubt about the alleged culpability of the accused. The trial is a process of uncovering the truth. It seeks to understand what happened to Ethan in his final weeks. The prosecution's opening statements lay out their case clearly. They detail the allegations against the grandparents. They describe the horrific condition in which Ethan was found. This set a somber tone for the proceedings. The presentation of evidence will continue throughout the trial. Each piece will contribute to the overall picture the prosecution is building. The alleged actions of the grandparents are being scrutinized intensely. Their behavior before and after Ethan's death is under examination. The prosecution is arguing that the evidence points overwhelmingly to their guilt. They contend the grandparents are responsible for Ethan's tragic end. A case is a complex one involving multiple allegations. It requires careful consideration of all the evidence presented. The prosecution's role is to present the facts as they see them. They must connect the dots between the alleged actions and the outcome. They are arguing that Ethan's death was not an accident. They contend it was the result of deliberate harm and neglect. The trial is a search for justice for Ethan. It seeks to hold those responsible accountable for his death. The prosecution is presenting a case built on medical evidence, witness testimony, and circumstantial factors. They aim to prove their allegations beyond a reasonable doubt. The alleged casual brutality is a key phrase used by the prosecution. It suggests a pattern of behavior rather than an isolated incident. The alleged pact of silence adds another layer to the case. It suggests a deliberate attempt to obstruct the investigation. The prosecution is working to ensure that Ethan's story is told. They are seeking to bring the truth of his final weeks to light. The case is a difficult one for all involved. It deals with the death of a young child under horrific circumstances. The prosecution's task is to present the evidence clearly and objectively. They must guide the jury through the complex details of the case. They are arguing that the grandparents failed in their duty of care. They contend this failure was not merely negligent, but actively harmful. The trial will continue as the prosecution presents its full case. The defense will then have the opportunity to respond. The prosecution's narrative is one of a child who suffered greatly. This suffering allegedly occurred at the hands of those who should have protected him. The case is a stark reminder of the importance of child protection. It highlights the potential dangers children face, even within their own families. The prosecution is seeking to ensure that justice is served for Ethan. They are pursuing the most serious charges against the accused. The evidence presented will be crucial in determining the outcome of the trial. The jury will weigh all the facts before reaching a verdict. The prosecution is confident in the strength of their case. They believe the evidence supports their allegations of murder and neglect. The trial is a public process. It allows for scrutiny of the evidence and the legal arguments presented. The prosecution is committed to presenting a thorough and compelling case. They aim to secure convictions that reflect the severity of the alleged crimes. The case of Ethan Ives Griffiths is a tragic one. It underscores the devastating impact of alleged abuse and neglect on vulnerable children. The prosecution is working to ensure that those responsible are held accountable. They are seeking justice for a life cut tragically short. The trial continues, and the outcome remains to be seen. However, the prosecution's case is clear. They allege murder and severe neglect. Michael and Kerry Ives are the individuals standing trial. They are the accused grandparents in this case. They are facing multiple charges related to Ethan's death. These are serious criminal allegations. The primary charge against them is murder. This is the most severe accusation they face. They are also facing charges of allowing a child to suffer serious physical harm. This charge addresses the alleged neglect and abuse short of murder. The couple has entered pleas in court. They have denied the charges against them. Their defense will seek to challenge the prosecution's evidence. They will present their own version of events. Ethan's mother, Shannon Kerry Ives, also lived with her parents. She resided in the same household. Shannon was living there with Ethan and some other children. This was the living arrangement in the summer of 2021. Shannon also faces charges related to the alleged neglect of her son. She is accused of failing to protect him. Shannon has also entered a plea. She has denied any wrongdoing on her part. She has made claims about her relationship with her father. Shannon claimed she was petrified of him. The Ives, the grandparents, have reportedly placed blame for Ethan's death elsewhere. They have pointed to their daughter. This creates a complex dynamic within the case. It involves accusations and counter-accusations among family members. Shannon's testimony and her own charges add another layer to the proceedings. Her role in the household is under scrutiny.